Hey, what's going on everyone? This is iReviews back with another video, and Apple has finally released iOS 26.4 to the public. This is actually an amazing update packed with new features and changes, also a really good battery life and a really good performance. So in today's video, I will show you guys 12 settings that I believe you must change on your iOS 26.4 device. But before we get into all that, I just want to ask you guys for a favor. If you're still not subscribed to the channel, please make sure to hit the subscribe button because it really helps the channel a lot. Now we're starting things off with the camera settings. Now we have a really interesting new setting here for the camera. So when you go right here and you go to record sound, you will find a new option called audio zoom. Now I suggest you go ahead and enable this setting on your device. Basically what it does right here, it says recorded audio is focused on the subject when the camera is zoomed. So basically what you're doing here is enabling this new option that will allow you to actually zoom the audio just like you zoom the video. So when you zoom in on the video on your phone and you focus on an object, that actually will also be where it will just zoom the audio and take the sound more from that subject. And with the new iOS 26.4, we also have a new setting under display and brightness. So right here we have reduce bright effects. Now what this setting does is that it will basically minimize the highlights and the flashing that you get with the new liquid glass design of iOS 26. So if we're here, you can see we have this menu. You can see if I swipe like this or basically tap anywhere, we have that like flash, that like highlight that iOS 26 will do. Well, I suggest you actually enable this, especially if you have an older device on iOS 26 or if you're just not getting really good battery life on your device. Then this will basically reduce those highlights, making your device probably get a few more minutes of more battery. And of course, also the performance should improve as it doesn't have to work for all those unnecessary highlights and flashings. Now, if you use the podcast app from Apple, then you will have a really interesting new setting right here. So if we go under podcast, you will notice that now we have an option to download video. Now, as you probably know, Apple has added video podcasts to the podcast app. And just like you have the automatic downloads for the normal podcasts, now you can also enable the video download. So when you download an episode of a podcast, it will also download the video so that you can view it offline. Moving on to the iCloud settings. So when you go to your settings at the top of your settings app and go under your account, go to iCloud, and here you can see a rebranding. Now it says iCloud.com. So if you go here, you will have something called allow search. Now what this will do is basically allow trusted Apple devices to provide search results for iCloud.com. So you can go ahead and enable this new setting from here. And now we have here some more settings that I believe you must change on every device, doesn't matter which iOS version you're on. So let's head on here to reminders. So on reminders, we have, of course, the new urgent reminders, and Apple has actually improved them a lot with iOS 26.4, adding a new folder for urgent reminders and making it much easier for you to actually create urgent reminders. Now, what I suggest you do here is go ahead and go to the settings of your reminders and enable this feature right here. It's under urgent reminders. It says complete from alarm. So instead of the snooze, it will display a complete button. So once you actually complete from the alarm, basically stop the alarm, it does also complete the reminder, making it much easier for you to actually complete that reminder without having to go back to the reminders app. And now let's talk about some really important privacy and security settings that I believe you must change on your device. First of all, right here under privacy and security, background security improvements, make sure you have this enabled. Now, for the first time, like last week, Apple has released a background security improvement. So that's actually the first time that they have released it to the public. And these are actually very important. These are not iOS updates. They're just security improvements that will patch different stuff in the background. So all you have to do here is just make sure you have it enabled on automatic and you don't have to bother with installing them or updating them. You just enable this and it's everything basically done in the background. Now, when it comes to updates, you need to make sure that you also have your updates here enabled. Now, most likely in the coming weeks, we will have an update for iOS 26.4.1 until, of course, iOS 26.5. There will be quite a few weeks, so there should be an iOS 26.4.1 update. And these are actually very important, even though they don't bring new features. They're important because they will improve things in the background and fix security things in the background. So you want to make sure that you also have those enabled on automatic install. And now let's move on to the battery settings. So head on to battery right here and then go to power mode. So with power mode, you will have here adaptive power, which is, as you know, a new feature added on iOS 26. Now, I suggest you use this on your device because it's actually very effective, especially if you have an older battery, an older iPhone on your device. So right here, it will explain what it does. It's basically when your battery usage is higher than usual, your iPhone will extend battery life by making performance adjustments in the background. So you can enable this and it will do that for you in order to save battery life on your iPhone. It is actually really good and it works. You can also enable here adaptive power notifications, meaning that every time this gets activated, it will actually give you a notification letting you know that adaptive power is working in the background. Moving back to the camera settings right here. So on camera, go ahead and just enable this button right here. Lock screen swipe to open camera. That's an old feature that it's actually useless. You will have the camera button on the lock screen. If you have a newer iPhone, you will have the button here to launch your camera, and you don't need to have that slide because most of the time you will just open it by accident, and maybe even open it by accident while putting your iPhone in your pocket. It will stay there with the camera open and just drain your battery. And here's a really important security setting that I believe every iPhone user must have enabled on their device. It's found under privacy and security. And it's this one right here, wide accessories. You go here and you will have a few options. Never enabled, always allow. Now, I suggest you do actually have this right here. Ask for new ones. So every time a new accessory is plugged in on your device, it will ask you whether you want to trust it or not. Always ask is not that not that practical because you will plug in your device a lot with your cables. It will ask you every time, but for new ones, just go ahead and enable this. Most likely this will be the best for every iPhone user. Now, while you're here on the privacy and security, go ahead and check like the privacy settings for your device, location services, things like your files and folders, your photos, of course, your Bluetooth, your camera, microphone, local network. Just go ahead and go to each of these sections right here and see if the apps that should be here are here. If you see any app that you don't have access to those things, just go ahead and turn them off. And last but not least, also very important, especially for the performance and battery life of your device, the notifications. Make sure you go ahead and just configure the notifications the right way. You don't need to have a ton of notifications coming in all the time, especially from apps that you don't actually need to have notifications from, like games and things like that. Just go ahead and turn them off, or just put them on the scheduled summary and just leave like notifications on for apps that actually you need and you want to have notifications in real time, because probably for most users you don't need most of the apps to send you notifications all the time because it will just drain the battery of your iPhone. So that's basically it for this video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more if you did, and of course smash that like button on this video, and I'll see you on the next one.